A highly classified Pentagon report known as the Overmatch Brief has reportedly been leaked, revealing sensitive details about potential outcomes if a direct military conflict breaks out between China and the United States. According to this leaked Pentagon assessment, China holds a significant advantage and could potentially defeat US forces in the event of a full-scale war over Taiwan's sovereignty. The report details how, in multiple classified wargaming simulations involving Taiwan, Chinese forces managed to destroy large numbers of US fighter aircraft before they could even take off or engage effectively. Analysts warn that major US warships, along with critical military satellites, are at serious risk of being neutralized by China's precision strike capabilities in the opening hours of a conflict. The leak highlights China's rapid mass production of low-cost yet highly advanced weapons systems, which experts say has left the US military vulnerable and strategically disadvantaged. The Pentagon document warns that America's heavy reliance on a few extremely expensive and complex platforms, unlike China's distributed, cost-efficient arsenal, creates a dangerous imbalance in modern warfare. According to the report, China has deployed an array of relatively inexpensive yet cutting-edge anti-ship missiles and air defense systems capable of overwhelming US naval power in the Indo-Pacific. The Pentagon analysts caution that unless the United States modernizes and adapts its weapons systems, it risks losing a potential conflict over Taiwan to a faster and more flexible Chinese military. China's military is capable of targeting American mobilization efforts, deployment routes, and sustainment operations across the Pacific theater. The People's Liberation Army continues to expand its arsenal of precision strike weapons, including advanced anti-ship ballistic missiles and long-range air-launched strike systems. Beijing may deploy large-scale cyberattacks and electronic warfare tactics aimed at crippling US communication networks, military databases, and satellites. China officially calls this strategy system destruction warfare, referring to its goal of paralyzing an opponent's military systems without necessarily engaging in prolonged ground combat. China's ultimate objective is to cripple America's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets, disrupt command and control structures, and limit its power projection capabilities across Asia. Analysts caution that any preemptive Chinese strikes on US military assets would be viewed as extremely escalatory, risking a full-fledged war. Military strategists fear that such actions could rapidly spiral out of control, provoking an uncontrollable global confrontation. Despite its vast arsenal, China could still fail to neutralize several critical US defense systems. America's nuclear submarines and long-range bombers stationed across its mainland bases would continue to threaten strategic Chinese military installations. The US military's tactics of dispersing assets and using concealment significantly improve survivability, making them harder targets for Chinese missile strikes. Experts believe Beijing might prefer to stage smaller, limited operations, to achieve objectives without sparking an all-out war. China could potentially conduct large-scale military exercises near Taiwan as a deceptive tactic to disguise preparations for an actual invasion. This strategy mirrors tactics once employed by Russia, which launched military drills in 2008 that quickly evolved into its invasion of Georgia. If Beijing's deception succeeds, US forces would have extremely limited time to mobilize and respond effectively to the sudden military escalation. However, analysts add that launching a full-scale invasion disguised as a drill would be nearly impossible to conceal, given the magnitude of troop movements involved. Mass transports of troops and equipment would almost certainly trigger early warnings through US intelligence and satellite surveillance networks. The Pentagon could counter by publicly releasing classified intelligence, thereby spoiling Beijing's element of surprise. A similar strategy was used by the US in 2022 when it publicly exposed Russia's invasion plans ahead of its attack on Ukraine. In simulated combat games, even the US Navy's state-of-the-art Ford-class supercarriers were found vulnerable to destruction by China's new generation of hypersonic anti-ship missiles. The report notes that the USS Gerald R. Ford, the Navy's newest and most advanced carrier, was repeatedly destroyed in scenarios and deemed no match for Beijing's long-range strike weapons. According to Pentagon analysts, entire US carrier groups and other surface ships could be taken out within minutes during a confrontation, given China's missile precision and firing speed. The document also warns that China's long-range air and surface-to-air missiles could decimate or immobilize American fighter squadrons before they even engage in combat. Reports claim China maintains greater cyber warfare proficiency, with capabilities to plant long-dormant malware within critical US military and government networks. Analysts warn that vulnerabilities in America's defense supply chain could cause it to deplete essential precision-guided munitions early in a war against China. A New York Times report alleges that one of President Biden's top security officials turned visibly pale after reviewing the leaked Pentagon brief's bleak conclusions. Chinese President Xi Jinping is currently engaged in a tense diplomatic dispute with Japan over Taiwan's sovereignty, escalating regional instability. Earlier this year, Xi declared that China would retake Taiwan by force if necessary and reportedly ordered large-scale military rehearsals resembling a D-Day-style invasion. Reports indicate that Chinese engineers have constructed massive water bridges and amphibious platforms designed to support large troop movements toward Taiwan's shores. Civilian ferries are allegedly being used in drills across the South China Sea, rehearsing the rapid transport of troops and heavy military equipment in wartime scenarios. In response, both Japan and the United States have reaffirmed their commitment to defend Taiwan, underscoring the growing unity among democratic allies in the Pacific. On December 10, the US conducted a joint show of force with Japanese fighter jets, just one day after China held military exercises alongside Russia near Asian airspace. On December 9, Chinese and Russian aircraft jointly circled near Japan and South Korea, signaling deepening military cooperation between Beijing and Moscow amid global tensions.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.